Life is strange, isn't it? Sometimes we look up and ask, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And other times, when life gives us blessings, we forget the source of those blessings. We walk with pride, thinking everything is in our control. But in truth, every moment of joy and every moment of pain is written by our Creator. We just don't see the whole plan. What feels like good today may turn bitter tomorrow. And what feels like loss today may open the door to blessings we never imagined. If you're going through a hard time right now, or even if you're in a season of comfort, this story is for you. Listen carefully until the end, because it may not just make you think, it may change the way you see life. At the edge of a quiet valley, just beneath a green hill, and near the border of a thick forest, there was a small village. In this village lived a humble man named Mr. Smith. He was weathered by years of labor and lived a simple life with his only son, Trevor. Their small home was modest, their meals were simple, and their days were often spent in hard work. For Mr. Smith, even having enough food to eat twice a day felt like a blessing. But despite his poverty, Mr. Smith carried something rare. He had a heart full of gratitude. Unlike many around him, he never complained about what he didn't have. Instead, he cherished what he did. This quality made him stand out in the village, though not everyone understood him. Mr. Smith owned a small piece of land on which he grew crops. Life was not easy, but he had helped his hard-working son Trevor and their loyal white horse, Storm. Storm was no ordinary horse. He was strong, intelligent, and surprisingly quick. Together, Trevor and Storm formed a bond like brothers, while Mr. Smith treated the horse almost as family. For them, Storm wasn't just an animal, he was a blessing that made survival possible. One summer afternoon, news spread quickly through the village. A wealthy businessman from the city, Mr. Johnson, was coming with his son to see Storm. When Mr. Johnson laid eyes on the magnificent white horse, he was stunned. He immediately offered Mr. Smith a fortune, enough to lift him out of poverty forever. Villagers who overheard gasped in disbelief. What an opportunity! But to everyone's shock, Mr. Smith refused the offer. He smiled politely and said, "Storm is not for sale." The villagers couldn't believe it. They whispered behind his back, calling him foolish. Has he lost his mind? He could have been rich. Overnight, some even laughed at his stubbornness. To them, refusing such wealth was madness. Days passed, and then something unexpected happened. One morning, Trevor went to the stable and found it empty. Storm was gone. Vanished. Father and son searched the fields, the forest, the hillsides, calling his name until their voices cracked. But Storm had disappeared without a trace. The villagers wasted no time mocking Mr. Smith. See, he didn't deserve such a fine horse. Others muttered, I bet Mr. Johnson's men stole him. Laughter echoed in the streets as they mocked his misfortune. Trevor, devastated, turned to his father and asked, Dad, how can you be so calm? We've lost Storm, the most important part of our lives. Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you broken? Mr. Smith gently placed a hand on his son's shoulder and said, My son, don't judge too quickly. In life, nothing is ever fully good or bad in the moment. Only time can tell. Trust that everything has a reason. Trevor couldn't understand. To him, it was a tragedy, but little did he know. Destiny had just begun to unfold. Days turned into nights, and the stable remained empty. Every morning, Trevor would wake up with a spark of hope, rush outside, and glance toward the hills, only to see nothing. Storm was gone. The silence of his absence filled the house like a shadow, and Trevor couldn't shake the thought that life would never be the same again. The villagers continued to gossip. Some said, Mr. Johnson must have stolen the horse. Why else would it vanish like that? Others laughed. Serves Mr. Smith right for refusing the money. What a fool. He could have been rich. Now he has nothing. Trevor couldn't bear their words. He clenched his fists in frustration, but his father remained steady. Every time Trevor's anger rose, Mr. Smith repeated the same calm reminder. Son, don't be quick to judge. Good and bad reveal themselves only with time. Trevor shook his head. To him, It sounded like empty comfort. How could losing Storm possibly be anything but bad? Then, one crisp morning, something incredible happened. As the sun rose, casting golden light across the fields, Trevor and Mr. Smith heard the sound of hooves pounding the earth. They looked toward the horizon and their eyes widened in disbelief. There was Storm. Their beloved horse had returned, but he was not alone. Behind him thundered 5 wild horses, strong and untamed. Following him like shadows, Storm galloped back into the stable yard as if nothing had happened. Tossing his mane with pride, Trevor stood frozen, his mouth open. "Father, he's back. Storm is back." Word spread through the village like wildfire. The same people who mocked Mr. Smith now rushed to his house, astonished by what they saw. "Unbelievable," one villager said. "He's not just lucky, he's blessed." His horse left, but came back with more. "This is fortune beyond imagination," another villager whispered. "Maybe Storm found his herd in the forest and brought them home. Mr. Smith is truly the luckiest man alive." While the villagers cheered and envied him, Mr. Smith only smiled softly. He didn't boast, he didn't celebrate loudly. He simply sighed indeed. Storm went looking for his kind. Now he has returned. His calmness baffled Trevor. Even in this joyful moment, his father's voice carried no excitement, only steady peace. Trevor, however, was filled with energy. He threw himself into training the wild horses. Day after day, he worked tirelessly feeding them, taming them, teaching them to carry loads and accept riders. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he was determined. These horses could change their future, but fate had another turn in store. One afternoon, while working with the wildest of the new horses, Trevor climbed onto its back. The animal bucked fiercely, resisting his control. Before Mr. Smith could react, Trevor was thrown violently to the ground. A sharp crack echoed through the yard. Trevor screamed in pain. His leg was broken. The villagers were quick to talk again. "This is bad luck," they whispered. "Those horses brought nothing but trouble. Mr. Smith should have sold Storm when he had the chance." Trevor lay on his bed, his leg bound tightly, pain coursing through him. His eyes filled with tears as he looked at his father. "This time you can't deny it, Dad. This is truly bad. My leg is broken. How can you stay calm now?" Mr. Smith sat beside him, his expression as steady as ever. "Trevor, remember what I told you. Good or bad cannot be judged in a single moment. This pain feels unbearable now, but trust me, time will reveal its meaning. Be patient, my son." Trevor turned away, frustrated. His father's words felt impossible to believe. To him, this was nothing but disaster. But once again, time was preparing to teach him a lesson that would change everything. The village had changed. Where once there had been laughter, chatter, and the simple rhythm of daily life, now there was an unsettling silence. Families walked slowly through the streets, whispering to each other, tears in their eyes. Many young men had been taken to fight in the war that had suddenly erupted across the land. The fields were emptier, the houses quieter, and the hearts heavier. Inside his small home, Mr. Smith remained calm, as always. Beside him, Trevor sat on his bed, his leg still bandaged, the pain from the broken bone occasionally shooting through him. And yet, despite the ache and the grief all around, Trevi was alive. He was safe. That realization alone made him feel both lucky and confused. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Trevor looked toward the window, then turned to his father. "Father, I think I understand now. When Storm disappeared, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen. But he came back with the wild horses, and when I broke my leg, I thought I had lost everything. Yet that injury saved me from going to the war. Father, is this what you meant? That life isn't as simple as good or bad?" Mr. Smith nodded, his eyes gentle and steady. "Yes, Trevor. Life is never simple. What seems like a curse may turn into a blessing. What seems like fortune may carry a lesson. Every event, every moment, has a purpose that we often cannot see immediately. Only time reveals the truth." Trevor reflected on the past weeks. The villagers who had mocked his father's refusal to sell Storm were now in awe. The very same people who whispered about misfortune were now calling Mr. Smith blessed. Yet Mr. Smith had never changed his calm demeanor. He had never allowed himself to be carried away by pride or envy, joy or despair. "Father," Trevor asked, "how do you remain so calm? How do you see things differently?" Mr. Smith leaned back and said, "My son, we are like the earth and the sky. The storms will come, and the sunshine will return. We cannot control either, but we can choose how we respond. The world will offer us events, people, and circumstances. Some will feel good, some bad, but neither stays forever. Life is balance. Patience and faith allow us to endure what seems unbearable, and to appreciate what seems joyous. Both are fleeting. Both teach us." The war continued beyond the village. Families mourned the loss of young men taken to battle, many of whom never returned. Mothers wailed, fathers sat in silence, and children tried to understand a world that had suddenly become dangerous. Yet Trevor was safe. His broken leg, a seeming tragedy, had spared him from the battlefield. The village now saw clearly what Mr. Smith had always known. Life cannot be judged in a single moment. Only time can show the true meaning of events. A loss may become a protection, a blessing may carry a challenge, and happiness, just like pain, is temporary. Trevor looked at Storm grazing peacefully in the yard, and then at the 5 wild horses he had begun to tame. He realized that everything, the disappearance, the return, his injury, had a lesson he could finally understand. "Father," he said softly, "I get it now. We cannot call something good or bad too soon. We must trust that everything happens for a reason." Mr. Smith smiled, placing a steady hand on his son's shoulder. "Exactly, my son. Remember to be patient during hard times, and humble during joyful times. Trust in the plan, even when it seems unclear. Everything good or bad will pass, and one day we will understand why it happened. This is the wisdom of time." And so, the story of Mr. Smith, Trevor, and Storm teaches us that life's events are not always what they seem. What feels like misfortune today could become tomorrow's protection. What feels like fortune could carry a lesson. The secret lies in patience, faith, and perspective. If you're facing a moment that doesn't make sense, remember to trust the process. Stay strong in hardship, and stay humble in joy. Life unfolds in ways we cannot always see. Thank you for listening till the end. If this story inspired you, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. And as always, see you soon in the next video.